Good afternoon, Ghana. It's 12 o'clock. Time to reach for mobile water. Mobile water, unique in every way.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
Citi News.
It's midday. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Citi Prime News. We're coming to you live from our studios at number 11, Dr. Martin Loop in Adabraka, Accra. My name is Ajwa Tinkramadum. Coming up, Majority Leader Dr. Kesi Olatoforsen nominated as Minister Designate for Finance as President John Mahama releases first 3 ministerial nominations. Stay with us for details. Also coming up,
Gently with our vendors. Right now we are still working to get commitment, but there is a possibility of a slight deferral. It won't be the full month, but we're looking at up to potentially 2 weeks deferral in the start of the operation.
West African Gas Pipeline Company WAPCO delays its vital pipeline maintenance by 2 weeks. We'll hear from a member of the technical committee, Edward Barr, on what this means for the country's power situation. Still in the bulletin, former Education Ministry PRO describes food shortage concerns in various senior high schools as a deliberate attempt to create fear and panic.
I do not agree that it is a case that all 18 food items are not in schools. The deliberate fear and panic that is being orchestrated by Charles, for me, is something that I believe that it should be measured.
And later in the bulletin, President John Mahama announces planned deployment of security personnel to key government institutions following reported incidents of vandalism and looting across the country.
We must not do the same thing. Let us show Ghana that we're different. Let us show Ghana that we're different. I know that a lot of our youth sacrificed and went to great lengths to make the party win.
Do stay with us for details of this and many other stories coming your way in 30 minutes. Remember, the news is live across the globe on citinewsroom.com. Around the country, we are live on a number of affiliate stations. In the Western region, tune into Adrimpa 100.7 FM in Takwa Beach, 105.5 FM in Takrade. In the Bono region, this is Greener 95.9 FM in Sunyang. In the Shanti region, Adrimpa 99.9 FM in Inkarie. In the Volta region, this is Heritage 107.3 FM in Hohoi. Freedom 88.1 FM in Sugakope. In the Northern region, tune into Radio Gaki 88.3 FM in Saboba. If you're in the Upper East region, this is Quality 88.7 FM in Garu. And in the Northeast region, this is Nobia 98.1 FM in Nalarigu. Please stay for details.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
We're grateful for your company this afternoon. Let's begin with some news just coming in as President John Mahama has submitted the first batch of ministerial nominations to the Speaker of Parliament. Dr. Kesi Olatoforsen has been nominated for the Ministry of Finance. John Abdullahi Jinapo has also been nominated to the Ministry of Energy. I have been joined in studio by my colleague Zoe Abubedu Ado with details of that statement. Zoe, what are the other names on the list?
All right, so we have Dominic Ayine, who has been nominated for Attorney General and Minister of Justice, and I must indicate that this was signed, or there's a letter coming in from the President, is signed by the acting spokesperson to the President, Felix Kwachi Ofosu. So the President, as you indicated, has submitted the first 3 to the Speaker of Parliament, Honorable Dr. Kesi Olatoforsen, Minister for Finance Designate. He's also the Member of Parliament for Ejumakon Inyanisiam. John Abdullahi Jinapo, who is the Minister for Energy Designate, MP for Yapekoso, and Dominic Ayine, Attorney General and Minister for Justice Designate, MP for Bolgatanga East. They also put out their profiles, and I would love to read that.
Take us through that.
Yes. So, Honorable Dr. Kesi Olatoforsen is an economist, a chartered accountant, and tax practitioner with extensive experience in public finance, macroeconomics, fiscal policy, tax policy and business management. He's a 5-term lawmaker and he holds a PhD in finance from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology and Master of Science degrees in taxation and economics from the University of Oxford and the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. He also holds a Bachelor of Science in Accounting from London South Bank University. I'll go on to the next.
And he's now the majority
leader in Parliament. So it means that someone else will be nominated to take up that position. The next person is John Abdullahi Jinapo, who brings in a wealth of hands-on experience, competence and know-how to the energy portfolio. Now, with his extensive qualifications, particularly in energy economics and finance, he is expected to bring much-needed dynamism and capabilities to transform the energy sector. And this is the profile that is coming in from the presidency.
For Jinapo, it's not very surprising because over the last
he has been speaking about energy issues, and he was the first person to mention that there was looming power crisis. So it's there are no surprises.
How about Dominic Ayine?
Okay, so for Dr. Dominic Ayine, he's a senior lawyer with 3 decades of experience in practice, and he previously served as Deputy Attorney General and Minister for Justice, and is founding partner of Ayine and Partners Law Offices. He holds a PhD in law from Stanford University, a Masters of Laws from the University of Michigan Law School, and Bachelors of Law degree from the University of Ghana. And this is the first 3 from Parliament. We have over 180. We know a number or a quota is supposed to come from Parliament. So these are the first 3.
And we know he said he's going to nominate 60 ministers.
60 ministers. So these are the first 3 that have been mentioned and coming in from Parliament.
So 3 done, 57 more
57 down to go.
Thank you so much.
And this includes deputy ministers as well.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Zoya Buedrado, giving us the details on the statement released on the first nominations by President John Dramani Mahama to ministerial positions. We'll keep you updated as and when we have more names coming up. But let's move on to another headline story. And the West African Gas Pipeline Company, WAPCO, has agreed to postpone its critical pipeline maintenance by 2 weeks. Now, this decision follows negotiations by a technical committee formed by the Chief of Staff Julius Debra to mitigate a looming energy crisis. The postponement was prompted by concerns raised by the Ghana Grid Company, GRIDCO, over the risk of power shortages caused by insufficient fuel supplies for thermal plants. The simultaneous occurrence of WAPCO's maintenance and the fuel shortage could have significantly impacted the country's electricity generation. Now, here is WAPCO's Managing Director, Michelle Burkett, addressing the issue.
Gently with our vendors. Right now we are still working to get commitment, but there is a possibility of a slight deferral. It won't be the full month, but we're looking at up to potentially 2 weeks deferral in the start of the operation. I believe it would be 3rd February. We're continuing to work with our vendors today to see if we can make those commitments firm. But that is our target right now, is to look for as much possible deferral. Unfortunately, I don't believe that is possible based on our current conversations with our vendors. We have a number of vendors that are already under contract and in mobilization as we speak.
So you heard the WAPCO's Managing Director, Michelle Burkett. We will come back to the issue of the energy challenges, but let's go back to the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, who has referred the 3 ministerial nominees to the Appointment Committee for the House for consideration and report.
Now the difficult part. I cannot do this work alone, and so I have to select some people to join me to be able to deliver the resets that we have promised Ghanaians. And it's coming in at a time when Ghanaians expected a reduction in the size of government. And so you won't want to be in my shoes when you promise to appoint only 60 ministers and you have thousands of people sending their CVs. Definitely some people will be disappointed. But it's not only by playing a role at that level that you can contribute to the success of government. There are many other things that we can all do. And I always say that the success of this administration will guarantee us, another term, maybe under some other leader. But we need to get this right so that Ghanaians will repose the confidence in us and give us another opportunity to continue. So all of us must put our shoulders to the wheel and work as hard as we can in order to achieve this. Ghanaians have taken us at our word that we're going to do things differently. Ghanaians punished the MPP for arrogance, for incompetence, and just for not listening to what their cries and challenges were. And so, as I said in the campaign, there's no use fighting for political power if we're coming to repeat the same mistakes that the MPP did. And so that's why I'm a bit concerned.
So that rather is President John Dramani Mahama speaking on the appointment. Now he says that many who are already sending their CVs for appointment in the cabinet will be disappointed because, as we already stated, he has 60 slots to appoint. But we also do understand, as we earlier said, that the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, has referred the 3 ministerial nominations to the Appointment Committee of the House for consideration and report. We'll follow this and bring you updates as and when we get them. But now let's go back to the issue about the looming power crisis. We have been joined on the line by a member of the technical committee that has been set up to find solutions to this, Edward Bauer. Good afternoon, Honorable. Thank you for joining us here on the news.
Good afternoon.
Now, this extension, the 2-week grace period that has been given to WAPCO, does this mean that we are putting to rest fears of a looming load shedding?
So first, let me state categorically that the postponement of the maintenance from January 20th to February 3 is not fully confirmed. It was one of the things discussed. I mean, even in your clip, you will hear the representative of WAPCO indicating that they were still talking to their vendor to see whether that was a possibility. As I speak to you now, we do not have formal communication from WAPCO indicating that actually they have postponed it to the 3rd. But as part of our strategy, it is one of the things we are looking at. Whilst we do the requisition for the importation of food as an alternative fuel, we are also working to see whether there's a possibility of giving us that 2 weeks briefing space to be able to prepare properly.
What does it mean if WAPCO does not agree to this 2-week grace period? So,
first of all, let me just tell you something. Even with the if they give us the 2 weeks, it still doesn't help us. It's like, I use the word, it still doesn't take out the threat. The threat is still there. Why do I say so? Assuming that just today we have the money that we send to to Nigeria, which is the closest, asking for crude. It will take us between 15 and 20 days minimum to be able to get the product, and possibly even 30 to 35 days the maximum. If there's a fault on the pipeline, that may also involve some extension. So let's assume that they are going to stick to the 28 days that they had given us earlier on in terms of the period they need to repair. It means that we have about 20 days to deal with that. Then we also then have 2 weeks by the generating plants to treat the crude oil that will come. That gives you a total of about, that's about 34 days. That's about a month and 4 days. But we are working with a period of just 12 days from the day of the day that His Excellency took over government. So we need about 34 days to have our first parcel of food that can really be put into a generating plant to produce power. So yes, any day that is added to you as a way of preparation, you take it and say thank God for it.
So should we brace ourselves for doing so?
No, His Excellency has directed the technical committee to do whatever is possible to ensure that that doesn't happen. And that is the mandate that will be given to the 12-member committee.
Now, people have raised concerns, and this is my last question to you, about the 24-hour economy. I know this is far out of your mandate, but as part of finding solutions to the power crisis that we have, what is the assurance the NDC is giving to finding solutions to these challenges so that we do not have to contend with power crisis and a 24-hour economy?
So basically, as a party and as a government that has just come into office, one of the things that we know very clearly is that we need to have a structural readjustment to ensure that the power subsector has the necessary liquidity to be able to work. Because in all these conversations that we are, it's about liquidity, it's about money. So if you have the structure well put, that's the first part. Secondly, we also know that in the value chain, we have identified the weakest slot. And the weakest slot has to do with ECG. That is why His Excellency the President, in his early days of communication to the public through various institutions, has indicated that we are flirting around the idea of also privatizing ECG. And this for two reasons. We will leverage on private sector capital and we'll leverage on private sector expertise to be able to ensure that power that is generated, we can account for the money and that we can pay all the players in the upstream, whether it's the suppliers of fuel, whether it is the suppliers of the energy itself and other variable costs. So basically we have a clear idea as to how to deal with it. And all things being equal, we'll be able to do that.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. You heard there Edward Bauer. He's a member of the technical committee that has been set up to find lasting solution to the power crisis that Ghana is currently faced with. You're still listening to the Citi Prime News. When we return, John Dramani Mahama, President of Ghana, announces planned deployment of security personnel to man various state institutions following incidents of looting. We have details of this and other stories coming up shortly. Please stay.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connects you to the newsmakers.
It's time to reset yourself and everything else around you for success in the new year. Tune in to the Effective Living Series 2025 this January on Channel 1 TV and 97.3 Citi FM. Start your year with insightful discussions and expert tips on personal growth, health, success, and more. From the 6th of January, Joy Apioko and Caleb Kuda engage our guests with various expertise on the Effective Living Series for a comprehensive guide to resetting your life in 2025. Week 1 kicks off with Personal Reset. Week 2 focuses on resetting your personal economy. Week 3 is all about resetting your health. Week 4, resetting business, calibrate, remodel, and rebuild. Catch the Effective Living Series live on the Citi Breakfast Show on 97.3 Citi FM and Breakfast Daily on Channel 1 TV, Monday through Thursday. Don't miss out on transforming your life for the better every week only on Channel 1 TV and 97.3 Citi FM. The Effective Living Series 2025 is powered by Channel 1 TV and 97.3 Citi FM and is proudly sponsored by Hallmark Cafe. Hallmark Cafe, delight in every sip and bite. Channel 1 TV is live on DSTV, GoTV, and HD+. On DSTV, find us on Channel 363. On GoTV, we're on Channel 117. And on HD+, get us on Channel 108. On a digital TV, run a new search. But take note that without an antenna, you cannot access Channel 1 TV. Channel 1 TV can be accessed on any free-to-air digital box, like the DSTV and HD+ boxes. Channel 1 TV, telling your story, empowering change.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connects you to the newsmakers.
You're welcome back to the bulletin. Let's bring you some more stories. The minority in Parliament has called on President John Mahama to direct law enforcement agencies to investigate and prosecute individuals involved in post-election violence and acts of vandalism. According to the minority, the establishment of the Operation Recover or Loot Oral Committee by the President has allegedly emboldened some members of the National Democratic Congress, the NDC, to perpetrate acts of thuggery, including destroying state property and attacking state institutions. Addressing the press, Deputy Minority Leader Patricia Pieje stressed the President's responsibility to safeguard the safety and rights of all citizens.
Not just those who support his party, the NDC, it is deeply disheartening that in the face of these troubling developments, the President has remained largely silent since taking office. While he had made a general call for calm as President-elect, this is not enough. The President must demonstrate leadership by condemning these acts unequivocally and directing law enforcement agencies to act decisively. The events surrounding the Economic and Organized Crime Office, YOCO, where a statue was vandalized on the day of the president's inauguration, remain unresolved. The incidents in Koforidia, Tema, and other parts of the country highlight a pattern of inaction and silence from the highest office of the land. This inaction emboldens lawlessness and sends a troubling message to Ghanaians. These are just a few of many incidents of thuggery and violence occurring across the country.
You heard the Deputy Minority Leader Patricia Appiagyei. Now, President John Dramani Mahama has announced that security personnel will be deployed to safeguard key government institutions, ensuring the protection of public offices and preventing further attacks and looting allegedly linked to individuals associated with the National Democratic Congress.
I know that in 2017, that is what the MPP did. After we lost that election, as soon as we handed over, they started to attack government offices, take over polling booths, take over public toilets, go to government offices and throw people out, stop people on the street and take cars from them. We must not do the same thing. Let us show Ghana that we're different. Let us show Ghana that we're different. I know that a lot of our youth sacrificed and went to great lengths to make the party win. But I know that our regional and constituency executives know who helped to achieve this victory. And what we must be doing is compiling a list of such people and what possibilities there are so that we can engage their youthful energies when things have settled. And so rather than take the law in our own hands, open fertilizer depots and take fertilizer, open warehouses and take rice and things, let us show MPP that we're different. And let us win the confidence that Ghanaians repose in us. And so I will expect that regional chairmen and constituency chairmen will call our young people to order so that we can do this thing in an organized fashion. If this continues, we cannot let law and order break down, and so we'll have to call the security services to come and protect those sensitive installations, and we don't want that to happen. And so let us on our own bring things into order so that Ghanaians can repose their confidence in us.
We heard President John Dramani Mahama will stay on issues of vandalism and violence as the Executive Director of the Alliance for Christian Advocacy Africa, Reverend Dr. Kwabena Opuni-Frimpong, has expressed worry over acts of vandalism and violence that have characterized the post-election period in the country. His remarks come in response to reports of looting and destruction at various government institutions. Speaking to City News, Reverend Opuni-Frimpong called for thorough investigations into these incidents, warning that they threaten the nation's stable democracy and its reputation as a beacon of peace in Africa. He made these comments ahead of the release of the Alliance's report on the 2024 general elections, which forms part of its observation efforts.
What the Vice President did, early acceptance of the results, shouldn't have again brought us here. Despite what excellent thing he did, we also recorded all manner of violence and destructions of properties and some even death. And you ask yourself, what signals are we giving? That even when we have gone through the election, the results have been accepted, even when the EC is not available, ready to give results, we can still record violence. The place of violence in our electoral system and in our culture is a worrying thing that we need to revisit, because you are into an election, we know the results, or we don't know the full results, but somebody has accepted that have been defeated, and yet the violent side of us will emerge. It's something we need to investigate as we move on.
Executive Director of the Alliance for Christian Advocacy Africa, Reverend Dr. Kwabena Opuni Frimpong, will stay on matters of government transition, and the Chamber of Local Governors, CHALOC, has expressed disappointment with the process through which Metropolitan, Municipal and District Chief Executives, MMDCs, are removed, criticizing the ongoing practice by successive governments as unlawful and calling for it to cease. In a letter issued on Wednesday, January 8, President John Dramani Mahama, through his Executive Secretary, Callistus Mahama, revoked the appointment of all MMDCs, citing the powers granted to the President under the Local Governance Act 2016, Act 936, and its 2017 amendment. Now, speaking to City News, the President of CHALOC, Dr. Richard Fiadomo, argued that this practice is an abuse of the Local Governance Act and has detrimental effects on the progress of local assemblies.
For me, that is sad. But when it comes to the local level, it's about local development. And local development is channeled through the local people. And that is what, for me, makes me sad. But for the speed and alacrity with which the MMDCs are also removed, it is an unfortunate issue there. But we are having a situation where we are having a tit-for-tat situation where if you don't even sack them, maybe your party people will say that no, they are delaying and all that. When Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo won the second term, his MMDCs that he appointed were supposed to have left office June 2021. Yet immediately he was sworn in for the second time, he quickly revoked the appointment and made a U-turn and asked them to act. Roxanne Dafiamapo went to the Supreme Court, even though the Supreme Court was of the view that their action will not injure the local governance system. The Supreme Court also went and made some consequential pronouncements to the effect that asking somebody to act as an MMDC was an illegality. So clearly, I do not see why there's a Supreme Court ruling to that effect and the current president will perpetuate. So,
you heard Dr. Richard Fiadomo, he's president of the Chamber of Local Governance, CHALOC. Away from that now, a former spokesperson for the Education Ministry, Kwesi Kwarteng, has dismissed allegations that no provisions were made for food supplies to secondary schools, noting that the ministry had already made payments for food procurement. His remarks follows calls by the Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools, CHAS, urging parents to provide additional provisions for their children to address feeding challenges in the various secondary schools. In an interview with City News, Kwesi Kwarteng accused CHAS of unnecessarily creating fear and panic among students and parents.
I can speak to the fact that prior to the election there were enough food. It is even the more reason why even from 7 to 19 students were still in school and there were enough food. And of course, even before we left, just last week, an amount of 150 million Ghana cedis. But you see, me, what? The most important point that we have to reiterate is that yes, we may have, it is possible, just like, there's a common phenomenon. We have, some challenges within the food supply chain. But, the deliberate fear and panic that is being orchestrated by CHAS for me is something that I believe that it should be measured. Because I do not agree that it is a case that all 18 food items are not in schools. I really do not agree. But whichever way we find ourselves in this situation, and I can say that before we left yesterday, I am not able to say, there were enough supplies in all schools, but what I can say is that the food that were available was to be able to at least sustain them for a week or two. That has always been the practice until subsequent distribution is made to the schools.
You had a former spokesperson for the Education Ministry, Kwesi Kwarteng. Now, DKT International has introduced its newest product, Kiss Gel, a strawberry-scented water-based lubricant designed to enhance intimate experiences. Kiss Gel is specially formulated to improve intimacy and reduce discomfort, particularly for women during intimate moments. It offers a smooth, pleasurable, and enjoyable experience for individuals and couples seeking added comfort and satisfaction. At the product launch, Michael Adewale, branch manager for Kiss Condoms, spoke to City News about the unique features of Kiss Gel and its numerous benefits for users.
This product has actually gone through a lot of processes. It wasn't just in a bloom that we came out with it. Our consumers, stakeholders thought through it. Our consumers were actually demanding for an addition to the kids portfolio after the addition of the kids condoms. So they needed more, and we thought that, okay, with the kind of customer base that we have, we need to also do something that is in line with what we do, that will also appeal to them. It went through a lot of feedback and suggestions from them. That is why now or today we have the product we call Kiss Gel. There's been many times where consumers or people have sex, but then because they use so many ways, they tend to have effects among. But this is here to address that challenge that they go through having fun in bed. Just like the Kiss brand, it's actually has stood or has shown, it has been one of the #1 condoms in Ghana, and that's the same way the Kiss Gel is also of note. It's because it's good, it's because it's safe to use, and I encourage every consumer to go in for it.
Michael Adewale is branch manager for Kiss Condoms, and in today's edition of the Citi Prime News, which came to you live from our studios at number 11 Dr. Martin Lupin Adabraka, Accra. Visit citinewsroom.com for more stories. My name is Ajuatin Kramadomna. Thank you for your company. Good afternoon.
Citi News. We speak first. Reach our hotline on 0302